Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show. As you can see here, I'm on location. Yeah, I'm in Bowling Green, Bowling Green's football stadium, where Eddie George has been named the 21st head coach in Falcons history. Eddie George, you remember, the 1995 Heisman Trophy winner. I got to cover that team. Got to cover Eddie George during his glory days at Ohio State. He went on to become a Tennessee Titan star. Then he went on to become a star on Broadway as Billy Flynn in Chicago. He's been all kinds of places, all kinds of ways, business, all kinds of endeavors he's had in his life. But 4 years ago, he decided he wanted to be a head football coach, almost doing it as a favor for Tennessee State down in Nashville. Turned into a passion. It has turned into a definite passion for Eddie George, who was named the Bowling Green head coach. I attended the press conference as I record this today up here in Bowling Green. His impact is already being felt, but it is interesting when you hire a guy the stature of Eddie George when it comes to reputation, both on the field and off the field. And it was a pleasure to get to come up here and once again speak with Eddie George. He's been on this show, as you know, if you've been following my show the last 6 years. He's been on this show quite a few times as he worked his way into becoming a head coach. And look, it's come to fruition for him. He's going to sign, at least he's agreed to terms, it looks like, for a 5-year contract with Bowling Green for approximately $700,000, $800,000 a year. I think those details are going to be worked out, but the bottom line is he is venturing on in the college football coaching world. And he's leaving Tennessee State after 4 years and really rebuilding a moribund program into a contender. Won the Ohio Valley Conference Championship this past season and got into the NCAA FCS playoffs. So Eddie George, you remember him, you loved him as Ohio State's 1995 Heisman Trophy winner, and when he left the premises of Ohio State, he owned the single-season rushing record, and it was one of the great days of my life covering him when he was awarded the Heisman Trophy. But he moved on quickly from that to become a superstar in the National Football League. He's already in the College Football Hall of Fame. Probably should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll see where that goes. But right now, he's staking his claim to fame right here in Bowling Green, and it's very interesting it's been very interesting to watch Eddie George mature, not just as a person, but as a football player and then as a football coach. And so without further ado, let's get to more of my conversation with Eddie, along with some of my colleagues, after he was introduced as Bowling Green's 21st head football coach. You know, I asked you during the press conference, but what just really hooks you about being a head coach? I mean, you understand what I'm saying, because the challenges are ridiculous now.
Yeah, if you look in my eyes, you can tell I'm probably sleepy.
Yeah.
But being a head coach for the last 4 years, it's gratifying to see the kids grow and the kids get it and they have success, and that beats all of the headache of of the administrative part and the hiring and the firing and all the late night call. It's that locker room when you win. It's that locker room when you see the love of the guys as they work hard and we grind together. And that's the beauty of it. It's like being a player without getting the hits. And I never thought I would enjoy it, but I'm having the time of my life, man. It's been awesome.
And one of the, we talked about Urban Meyer, and you looking at the call from him as you're driving through Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is ironic as hell.
Yeah.
He's telling you, he basically was encouraging you to take this job, I would think. But but then also Jim Trussell. But the guy left out is John Cooper, your head coach at Ohio State.
Yes.
What kind of influence did he have on you, just in the sense of showing you the good and the bad?
You know what? It was. They didn't tell me to go one way or another. They just said that this is an opportunity that you should really look at.
Yeah.
And it was hard. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was really a tough situation to be in for me because, on one hand, I'm leaving a situation that I've grown to love, and I love the kids. And yes, it was hard. Yeah, there were some challenges. Things may have looked bleak, but the opportunity to come to a program like this with Urban, who's played here, various coaches that have coached here, the players that have come through this program, the energy and enthusiasm of the community around the program, where it's going. The MAC has great football. I said, man, going back to Ohio, I mean, it was just a lot there that I really had to consider, and I had to come make a decision. And it wasn't an easy one, but as I've come up here and I look for signs, I look for the feeling, I look for a good vibe. I have a really good feeling about the things that we're going to accomplish here at Bowling Green, because everybody's committed. We're all rowing in the same direction. We're all thinking the same thing. We're all committed to that one end goal, and that's to be successful and to be elite. And that's the language I like to hear. So again, I don't know about immediate success. I know that through patience and going through the process and diligence and compassion, we'll get there.
Coach, from what you've seen on TV and maybe heard about, any thoughts on action and just the midweek games, just kind of the brand of action?
I'm curious to see how the schedule works out with that during the course of the week. That'll be exciting. I know when we were getting ready for our games during the course of the week, we would have action on television in the background, and I recall watching Toledo and Ohio and Bowling Green play, and during those course of those games, and now we'll be a part of that whole process. So it'll be exciting to be a part of that and have a chance to watch all the college football without the pressure playing that day. But that'll be something new and interesting that we'll learn to embrace, and I'll have to get used to that.
What were ingredients in the turnaround in Tennessee? What were some of those pillars?
I would say discipline, development, integrity, consistency. You know, that was it. And I would say love. You know, really the glue that put it all together for us, because we learned to respect one another. It was a really strong brotherhood. The development piece came through the training that these young men had to go through, given the challenges of facilities and so forth, and how they had to maneuver around certain things. And really just knowing that it was our time to be successful, making a commitment to that every day. You know, we stayed disciplined and consistent every single day. We never wavered in the eye of adversity. You know, and that was key. Adversity was at every turn for us. We lost a kid last year around this time in a car accident, and became completely unhinged as a team. But we rallied to get back together again to go on to have a successful year and to win the championship, because we believed in one another. And that was the love, and that was, again, an awesome thing to see come to fruition.
Yeah, perseverance. I mean, that sums it up, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, but do you have a little bit of a bonus, the fact you got into this coaching gig about the same time transfer portal and NIL came along and stuff, so you already know. In other words, this part of you being a DNA of you being a head coach, you know, as opposed to learning it all, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's no different really than the NFL model. You know, with free agency and salary cap. And as a head coach now, I'm going to become a student in that, really immerse myself into the components of the free agency world and the salary cap, because that's where college football is kind of going.
Yeah,
it's going in that direction. So I need to figure that out in terms of how that looks, and roster management, moving numbers and all of that stuff. So that's what I look forward to. And those are the challenges that excite me. It's like, how can we still hold on to our values and integrity as a program and still navigate through that world without selling our soul, so to speak. You know, so that's exciting for me.
You mentioned high school recruiting and building that wall around Ohio.
Yes.
How do you go about doing that?
Putting a very aggressive recruiting plan around it, and that's me getting out in the community, reaching out to various high schools from Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, around the surrounding counties of the state, and building those relationships in that regard. You know, we have a plan. I have a plan to, probably host a few camps, bring talent here, so we can assess and they can begin to see, the facilities at Bowling Green, and so we it's a recruiting trip without having it. So you're really selling the staff, you're selling the vision, you're seeing it all come together. So that's how we plan on doing it. It all starts with building relationships.
The name Eddie George still carries a lot of weight. How do you make this not about Eddie George, about making it the Bowling Green Falcon program as best as it can be?
Well, I never made it about me. It's always about, the BG. It's always been about TSU when I was there. So it's about the experience that you're going to have when you get here. You're going to be raised to be a man. You're going to be held accountable at every turn. And I don't make it about, hey, here's my Heisman Trophy. I said, well, I can show you how to get there. If you trust in the blueprint. And it's not going to be easy. Bowling Green will not be for everybody. And that's okay. There's a place for mediocrity, but it's not at Bowling Green. Right? So that's how we look at it.
Coach, you mentioned watching matches. What sticks out to you most about the brand of football that's played in the MAC, and what excites you the most about being able to coach in this conference?
Well, some really great coaches here in this conference. Really, the talent level from team to team, from top to bottom, is very, very slim in terms of they're equally matched. So that's what's exciting. It's very competitive. It's physical. Brand, listen, Bowling Green was 6 points, lost by 6 points to Penn State at Penn State against a team that was in the Final Four. Okay, and went to Texas A&M and lost by 5. So it's the pieces and parts are there. Now we just got to work that margin from going good to great. That's the smallest margin that you can attain. It's that close from good to great, but it's the toughest because it requires a little bit more of everything. Sacrifice. It requires more focus. Requires more discipline. So those are the things that we're going to have to really work on when I get in here, and it's going to be exciting.
Is football different on the field from when you played to now?
Yeah, it's not as physical. I would say, football's still football. I think now, you have some of the spread elements with the RPOs and all of that. It's not as physical as once when I played. When I played, we were playing inside of a telephone booth, and we had the big shoulder pads on, and it was a different brand of football back then. But the game is still the game. You still got to put the ball in the end zone. You still got to get the hard, tough yards. You still got to establish a run game. So those things I look forward to.